Welcome back to the Northern Steel Podcast. This is episode 29. My name is Dominic, and with me as always, besides last week, is my brother, Chris. Glad to have you back, Chris. How was Hurricane Ian? Right? Hurricane Ian? How was that?
Hurricane Ian was a blast. JK.
An audible wink.
No, honestly, the area in which I was at was pretty chillax, which is good. You know, I saw videos and my heart goes out to everyone that was on the coastline, especially the western coast of Florida. Seeing all the flooding and everything going on and all the, housing, it's really tough. And yeah, our hearts go out to you guys. Thankfully I was smack dab in the middle of the state in Orlando. So a lot of high winds and rain, but nothing too serious. But good to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're good too. And now I'm gone. Now I'm not in Minnesota. I am in Pittsburgh, baby. The land of our favorite team. The land of our passion. The Steel City.
The Penguins.
Yeah, it might have to be. After watching this team. It might have to be. But I'm here in Pittsburgh for work right now. It's great. I got to see the city off the incline, the Dukin Incline. Went to some restaurant in Allegheny over down there. So it was a good time. But working just today, leaving tomorrow morning. So a short trip. But we're here to talk about the Steelers. In the past 2 weeks, I've introed this with sadness and depression because we're losing. And yes, we came off another loss. But the vibe, Chris, it's a little different. It's a little different going to the next week, and we're going to get into that right after we talk about last week's highlights.
Let's do it.
So, starting off, of course. Week 4, new week. Time to remedy these issues we've had on offense. So with that, Mitch throws a laser to Deontay Johnson, which goes through his hands, shocker, for an interception. The Jets take that gift and drive into Steelers territory, kicking a field goal and going up 3-0 to start this game.
Next Jets possession, it's 2nd and 7, and Wilson decides to keep shoving it into our faces that he can throw into the middle of the field, and that we cannot, putting an absolute dagger into my heart. Disappointing. 2nd and goal for the Jets. Wilson motions his receiver and hands it off. It becomes a double reverse that is then thrown to a wide open Zach Wilson in the end zone. Just when I thought the worst was over, Wilson gritties, and thus giving me a great idea to gritty myself into oncoming traffic. What a tough blow. Steelers remain down to the Jets 10-0 early into the second quarter.
Philly special or gritty special? Who knows? So it's continuing to be depressing. I'm sorry, do you want to hear some Steelers highlights? No need to fear, Boz is here, putting us up on the board where the score is now 10-3, Jets still ahead. But wait! There's more Steeler highlights. With 33 seconds left in the half, the Jets are trying to get more points on the board, but Zach Wilson has cougar boobies in his eyes from the stands, blinding him, causing an interception by Cameron Sutton, who brings the ball all the way back to the 30-yard line. Having the MILF section in Acrisure was a very great plan, and it worked super well to cause a crucial takeaway and a crucial possession for the Jets. Then Boz does what Boz do, setting a new record in Acrisure, in Hines. Who cares? He kicks a 59-yard field goal right down the middle, easily, with tons of room, making the score 10-6, Jets at the half.
What's this, though? After stopping the Jets, the Steelers decide to make a change at quarterback. In walks Kenny the Jet Rodriguez Pickett, and in his first NFL throw, he goes deep, and it gets picked off. Disappointing start, but ultimately not his fault. Claypool should have had it. Jets on 3rd down decided to pass. Wilson sees the wide open receiver, but he had popcorn right before the play, and the ball slips out of his hands into Minka, thank you, come again Fitzpatrick, as he takes it inside the 5-yard line. Huge play for the Steelers defense as we get the ball back.
It's now going to be 3rd and goal to take away the touchdown, and after 2 Najee Harris runs, who can't get across the end zone, Kenny does his best Thanos and says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And quarterback sneaks it in with a great second effort to put Pittsburgh up 13-10. Finally, the Steelers are in the lead. They're fired up, Kenny's fired up. It's Kenny time now, baby. And nobody was going to deny that man from getting a touchdown. And now I'm crying tears of joy from my eyes and from my loins. But the tears don't stop from both ends, because on the next drive, Kenny drives down the field and takes it in himself for his second rushing touchdown of the day. First quarterback ever to debut with 2 rushing touchdowns ever in an NFL game. First quarterback ever to make me question my sexuality. What? Did I say that? Remove that from the podcast. Steelers are now up 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and we're feeling good. We're feeling alive.
But the game is not over yet. Jets are 3rd and goal, and what do? They throw to the middle of the field and get an easy touchdown. To who? Corey Davis, to come within 3 points. Oh my goodness, this is when my blood starts boiling and my anxiety grows to astronomical heights.
But back down to earth we fall as the Jets continue to drive the ball down the field after a interception that Kenny throws again. Unfortunately, hitting Pat Freiermuth in the hands, and he drops it. And the Jets do what they've been doing all game, especially in the fourth quarter, throwing the ball over the middle of the field. Like everybody does. We can't adjust. Why would we? Do you like to win? I don't. More on that frustrating mindset later. But with 17 seconds left, right on the doorstep, the Jets run in for a touchdown. Pandemonium erupts as maybe there's a chance the Jets fumbled the ball. Could it be? Could we get it back? Is it possible? No. Spoiler alert, it's not possible. After many reviews, it is a touchdown. The Jets jump ahead 24-20 with under 15 seconds left in the game. All hope is lost. You can tack another L onto the board. It's a very deflating way for that drive and the game to end.
But what's this? Steelers on their final attempt to win the game. Kenny drops back and airs it deep into the end zone just to rile up the trolls of Twitter who didn't watch the game as Kenny throws his 3rd and final pick, and the Steelers drop to the Jets 24-20. Sad, disappointing loss. But
and that's the way the cookie crumbles on that one.
I feel like there is...
Steelers move on, or they're moving on this next week. They are 1-3. Bottom of the division. But, Chris, like I told you, how I introed this, the vibe is different. It's not as depressing. There's something to be excited about. Sure, we lost to a team we should have beat. Sure, that's probably the season, based on the way our teams have been playing and our upcoming schedule. Sure, there's a lot of other problems, which we will discuss from this game shortly. But the biggest takeaway and the excitement moving forward is Kenny Pickett is now the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I tried not to be biased with Mitch. I tried not to. I didn't root for his downfall. I want him to win. I don't want to see us lose games. But I can't explain to you how much more excited I am to watch Kenny Pickett, regardless of the mistakes he'll make as a rookie.
Right. And this is a very big thing. Coming into, now this part of the season, it finally feels like a new era in Pittsburgh, which is really exciting. Obviously, it was considered a new era with Ben being gone and who's going to be the quarterback and everything. And even though you and I were very optimistic with Mitch, we felt like he had the tangibles and he was a mobile quarterback. He could get the ball down the field. He hadn't had a losing record in his career. And so we felt, Mitch could do it. It was a win-win situation with his contract. If he does well, obviously that's good for us and he gets paid more. If he doesn't, then, it's really not a cap hit to us. And then we get to see Kenny Pickett coming into the game. And ultimately, I've said it before, I'm a huge, huge Kenny Pickett guy. I was really happy when we drafted him 20th overall. Now's the time. It finally feels like the beginning. I know we're 1-3 on the season and have a long stretch of hard games coming up, but it finally feels like the page is turned and here we are starting this brand new book, and it's kind of exciting.
It's very exciting. And let's talk about since we're talking about Kenny Pickett, let's talk about Kenny in reviewing that game. What I'll say first, one, is that Kenny did not get any first-team reps, which people say, well, of course he was the backup, but even if you were thinking about possibly taking Mitch out, he should have gotten some first-team reps. So he got 0 first-team reps. He should have been starting this game, but they take him out and they put him in the half when they're losing. And he came in, and regardless of the interceptions, which we'll talk about in a bit, and I'm sure you would like to talk about that, Chris, for, like you said, all the trolls on Twitter who just watch the stat boxes. He played it really well, in my opinion, and it was very obvious he gave a spark to the offense. I mean, the first half, I believe, we were 1-7 on third downs. And in the second half, separately, I think they were 6-8. And he was able to move the ball down the field. He made decisions. He was he could run out of the pocket with his agility. He was making some good throws. George Pickens was getting fed the ball, which is obviously a huge uplift to the game. He was able to command it, and it didn't seem too big to him. And obviously, my favorite play from Kenny Pickett, as all of our favorite plays, was when he was in the red zone, and Quinnen Williams is coming right down his throat, and Kenny stays in there and throws a dime to Freiermuth over the middle of the field when he gets tackled down to the 3, and Kenny gets up and he starts talking trash. And that fired me up so much. That's exactly what we need. Every touchdown he scored fired me up because he had the passion, the energy, and I'm ready to continue to watch that.
Yeah, no, Kenny brought an absolute spark to this offense. And it was something that I feel like we have been missing this whole year, right? We always talked about we have the playmakers on offense. We have the guys to make these plays, but, people were getting frustrated. Obviously, Mitch was put under fire with the throws and decisions he were making. Matt Canada, really not making the best play calling out there. But to have Kenny Pickett come in at the second half of that Jets game, I felt like there was a brand new feeling to the entire game, and the offense was alive. Looking back at the first 3 weeks before Kenny even got a start, I don't even know how many offensive touchdowns we scored, but Kenny within one half already has 2 offensive touchdowns. Now, backing up on that, which is great, yes, Kenny did throw 3 interceptions. However, to those of you who did not watch the game, Titter, oh boy, I have Mitch on my mind. I said Titter. Twitter was blowing up, media was blowing up. Everyone's making this big deal about how Kenny Pickett is really bad, how he threw 3 interceptions. According to PFF and other sites, he really had 0 turnover-worthy plays. If you look back, Claypool should have took the high point on that first pick. If anything, it should have been an incompletion, but Claypool should have had that. The one to Freiermuth, although it wasn't the best decision Pickett could have made, it did hit Freiermuth in the hand, and he kind of volleyed it up for the defender. And then, obviously, you can't pin the last one on him. It's the last play of the game, a Hail Mary. How often do those get picked off? Probably 80% of the time they get picked off, right? Probably. So you can't really put that on him. If you look at his complete stat line, ignoring those 3 picks, he was still 10 for 13. I think that's a 77 completion percentage, 2 rushing touchdowns, 120 yards. He got Pickens involved, which was awesome. He had Pickens had a 100-yard game, first of his career, and that was the first 100-yard receiver that we've had since week 11 of last year.
Yes.
11. So that's crazy.
So moving forward, it's I know some people are like, oh, Kenny threw 3 picks. Why aren't you mad at him like you're mad at Mitch? The difference is, and I know Mitch is in a new system, and I know these are new coaches for him. The difference is I'm okay with a rookie making mistakes, especially now at 1-3, where we're at. I mean, truly, you guys, unless a miracle happens, truly forget about playoffs and potentially forgetting about a winning record this year. Okay, I'm not trying to be disappointing. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. Just
trying to be real.
Trying to be real as best I can. Okay, so I would love for them to win and do all these things, and that'd be awesome. We'll be right there with it. We're not going to say, we told you, I'm not going to flip my mind. I'll be surprised if that happens, but that's the reality of the situation. So now moving forward, I think the most exciting thing to watch is where we're laying the groundwork with Kenny. Like what's Kenny going to look like in this rookie year, and how can we build upon that for next year and the years to come after that? And I think it's more exciting. The mistakes aren't going to bother me as much because he is a rookie. I'm hoping to learn. They bother me more with Mitch because he is a 6-year veteran, and he's just boring. Kenny, at least he's going to sling it. He even said in his interview, he's like, "Well, I'm a gunslinger. I'm going to throw the ball around, and if picks happen, they happen." So,
who'd that make you think of? Him saying that?
Big Benny.
Big Ben, right? And that's exciting because I don't know, Kenny has an animosity to him, dude. Like you said, he was smack talking players. The dude threw a pick, didn't matter. He was still smack talking people. He's like, whatever, sure, take it. I'm still gonna whoop your team. What? Like you said, put into position. Hadn't had any practices, but he still looked good. He still looked excellent. He looked composed. He was, and the thing that you and I have talked about is the reads that he was making. You know, that's an area that Mitch struggled in all year, even in the preseason. And Pickett just proved it to us that his reads were tremendously better. He's throwing to guys who are open, who could make a play. And yeah, he's going to make rookie mistakes. He is a rookie. It's all about growth. But that's expected, right? You know, like Dom said, going through with a veteran quarterback, you expect more, but he just wasn't doing it. So go with the rookie gunslinger. See what happens. And I think there's no turning back at this point. You can't go back to Mitch unless, bearing an injury. I think that'd be the only way. Yep. But from here on out, I think it's Kenny's football team, regardless of how he does. And it's exciting to see what happens.
Now let's talk about the negatives from the past game. And I have a lot. So there's a lot of negatives with this team in general. Like I said, moving forward, I'm going to be kind of watching individual performances, as kind of sad as that is, unless they start racking up wins, obviously. But there's a lot of problems, and I think the biggest problem comes down to coaching. Whether that be, Tomlin is to blame. He really is. But Tomlin, the coordinators, everyone, I think it comes down to coaching. The team is not playing fundamental ball on either side of the ball right now. They're not executing the simplest assignments right now. Wide receivers are still running into each other. Blocking's not blocking scheme. The O-line's doing okay. I'm not going to say like blocking's bad, but the schemes themselves are not always the best. We're still getting penalized a lot, especially for alignment up the field on like RPO plays, which is frustrating. Defensively collapsed in the fourth quarter, and before I've given them an excuse in the past couple games because they've always been on the field because our team has gone 3 and out consistently. We have the most 3 and outs in the NFL. So I've given them the benefit of the doubt there. But in the fourth quarter, or in the second half especially, Kenny was driving the ball down the field. So we actually won the time of possession in that game. So being gassed isn't an excuse there. They just were. Minka actually said in an interview that the Jets in the fourth quarter changed their offensive game plan, and the Steelers did not adjust. And that happens a lot. That's a common theme with the Mike Tomlin era of coaching, is not adjusting. The biggest coaching moment I saw from Tomlin last week was putting Kenny Pickett in and going for it on fourth down, because he likes to say he doesn't live in his fears, but he does. He plays very conservatively. But our biggest problem, like, we didn't adjust. We don't change these game plans, and I think that's our biggest problem moving forward, right? I don't even know if it's fair to call out other performances or other problems, because we have so much talent on this team. We should not be playing as poorly as we are. No. So even though, yes, Claypool isn't playing the best, right? Sure. But he has the talent to play better. Maybe he'll play better with Kenny. Who knows? Najee said himself that he's not running that well, but maybe he can pick it up. But those are still very talented players, along with the other receivers that we have, right? Defense, we have very talented guys. I know we're missing TJ Watt. I know we haven't won. I know TJ brings up a lot of pressure. We missed like 5 sacks that we should have had. And that is not Highsmith's fault, as much people like to say it is. Highsmith is still like the sack leader. He could have 8 sacks right now in 4 weeks, which is nuts. He's playing really, really well. I'm not going to blame Alex at all. It's just unfortunate that we're not getting, we unfortunately just couldn't get the wrap up. If TJ's in that game, we definitely win because he's cleaning up. He's getting the wrap ups. Malik Reed's definitely not it. That's unfortunate, right? We didn't really have another option there. We don't really have a lot of depth behind that position. But I still think from a negative standpoint, it's coaching, and that's why I don't think it's really going to change because if there's anything the Steelers have shown me the past 3 years, Chris, is that they don't change, and they're not willing to change. We went 12-0 or 11-0, and everyone we started losing games, and everyone knew exactly what we're going to do. We became predictable, and everyone could see right through us. And Tomlin was like, "Well, no, we're 11-1. We're not going to change. Oh, we're 11-2. We're not going to change. Oh, we're 11-3. We're not going to change." And it's like, well, you're losing games now. Something's got to change.
Yeah.
And I just don't foresee that happening right now.
No, coaching has always been the same. They stick to the Steeler way. They stick to the plays that they have and the players as well. Steelers are a very loyal organization and very patient. And it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I mean, if your players are coming up to you and they're showing that, hey, these people are adjusting, they're not running these plays anymore, they're running this, like, look at this. I think it's up to you as a coach to adjust to that and try to find ways to neutralize their offense or their team however you can, right? It's an ever-changing game through 4 quarters. Things can happen. I've seen the biggest of comebacks because people have swapped their plays. Steelers don't do that, and that's something that really needs to change. Looking at the optimistics, I don't know.
Because it hasn't.
Yeah.
And not to cut you before the optimistics, but like when I talked about being predictable too, we're still doing that now. Someone pointed out on Twitter that every time Gunner is in at receiver, I think it's like he's been in for 21 offensive plays, and 19 of them have been run plays. So it's a tell to the defense that when Gunner's in, we're running the ball. And we do stuff like that all the time. We're just too predictable. We're showing offenses there's no creativity in anything. And we're not changing. That's the other issue.
I will say, if there's any changes that are happening, obviously the big one at quarterback with Kenny Pickett coming in, I think that should have happened a while ago, but that's a change. I'm surprised
at least to start this week.
Yeah. And then also, I did read up a little bit, especially with you, talking about Gunner. It sounds like Steven Sims is reporting that he's going to be the return man this week.
Yeah, so Gunner is going to be benched. Steven Sims is going to be the return man, which is great because he had some good plays in preseason. I know a lot of people want Calvin Austin. Chris and I really want Calvin Austin. We've been excited to watch him play. I don't know if he's going to be able to play this game because he hasn't been able to practice with the team at all. He hasn't been conditioned for an NFL game yet, and he might take another extra week of practice to get onto the field. However, right. I'm excited to watch Steven Sims return the ball. However, Gunner, which is also weird too, but also, I mean, our whole offense has been bad. Let's put it that way. But he was really promising in training camp and preseason as a receiver. So where's that been? Is he going to be benched as a receiver too? Because where's that? Why can't we use him? Kenny actually in training camp, he said this too. He had a great relationship with Gunner throwing him the ball. They built a chemistry together. So maybe Kenny likes throwing the ball to Gunner too. Are you going to bench him as a receiver? Because he actually did well at that. And where's he been this whole time? That's confusing to me too. So it'll be interesting to see in this next game if Gunner is actually like benched or just for returns. Because I think Steven Sims is a good receiver too, but we haven't even got a chance to see Gunner as a receiver. And I heard so much about how good he did in the offseason.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that first before I decide to cut him,
Oh, I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see how things move forward, especially with Kenny Pickett at helm. Looking optimistically into this upcoming week and the rest of the season. Obviously, we're rolling high with Kenny, which is super exciting. Calvin Austin, like you said, is finally off of IR, and he's started that 21-day window. It sounds like he is returning to practice today, is what I was reading, right?
Yeah, yesterday, right?
Yes, was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Okay,
Yep.
So he started his return to practice. I'm sure he's hungry to get in there. I think it'll be exciting having his speed, and especially into the middle of the field, seeing what we can do with that. I don't know if he's going to be playing this week, just because he's been out for so long, and starting practice for the first time on a Wednesday when you play on Sunday. I don't know if that's enough time, but we'll see what happens. And then also the other optimistic point is we will be getting TJ Watt back soon. Dom and I have talked on that before, whether we want to wait until after the bye week to make sure that he's healthy or to get him in there, especially during this long streak. But transitioning from that long streak, let's talk about that a little bit. And I feel like
I was going to say, let's talk about that briefly.
So first off, let's get into it, and then I'll bring up my point later. So the next 4 weeks are going to be easily the biggest challenge for the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we face 4 playoff teams and easily the best teams in the NFL so far, right? Yep. So this upcoming week we play the Bills, and the Bills are a Super Bowl favorite. They have been since the preseason. They're looking really, really good. Of course, Josh Allen's an amazing quarterback. And then we go Tampa Bay, Miami, and then the Eagles, who are the only undefeated team. So It's going to be a long stretch. It's kind of interesting putting a rookie quarterback in that position, but I don't know, Dom, I'm kind of curious to see how Kenny's going to react in those situations. He's going to have to get used to it eventually.
It's the gauntlet for sure. It's definitely the gauntlet to throw him into the fire. And I think we were starting to break with TJ too. The interesting thought is, and I don't have an answer for you right now until more games happen, but the interesting thought is, what do you do with TJ when he becomes healthy? I know there's been reports that maybe he could play next week against Tampa Bay. I doubt it. Maybe he could. My thing is that was such a... I've seen practice videos. He looks good in practice, right? But that was such a hard injury and a bad injury. Why risk a re-injure when we're potentially not that good of a team? Potentially. That is one thought to have.
Yeah.
So let's say he misses next week's game too. And let's just assume, hypothetically, we lose the next 2. You're talking 1-6 at that point, or 1-5, I guess. And TJ, maybe he can come back. Do you want him to come back, or do you want to save him for the back half and give him some more rest because we're 1-5, or is the mindset, hey, we're 1-5, we need wins right now? Mm-hmm. I can't really make that call right now, but all I'm going to say is it would really suck to re-injure TJ Watt, who is a generational player for us, who was Defensive Player of the Year, in a year where we could potentially go 6-11. It'd be really tough to do that. So I don't know. We'll see what. But I think what is going to play a factor to that, Chris, like you said, is how Kenny does in these next 4 games of this gauntlet.
Right.
Which we'll talk about each game as they come along. But let's talk about the Bills coming up.
Okay.
So we're losing. We're definitely going to lose to the Bills. We'll talk about our keys to possibly win this game. But here's my thought with this Bills game. Because our whole secondary is injured. I don't know how many of them are going to be back. Josh Allen's going to throw for 8 touchdowns. It's whatever. Okay, when you watch the game this weekend, unless it's close for some reason, don't even worry about when the Bills' offense is on the field. Honestly, go to the bathroom, get a snack. They're going to score a touchdown, come right back, watch the offense. Because in my mind, Chris, I know people are going to say this is a loser mentality, but this is right now, to me, until we start stacking wins, this is about the future. If Kenny Pickett could score more than 24 points against the Bills, against the number 1 defense, who also has a lot of injuries, I'll keep that in mind. If he can score more than 24 points, I will take that as a victory all day long. And I'll be pretty content on Sunday if we can score 27 to 30 points.
Yeah. I'm speechless. I agree with you. I do think playing the Bills is absolutely going to be, the worst, and we're probably going to get annihilated. But I don't think there's necessarily only a negative connotation behind those words. Like you said, this is Kenny's first start, and we're going against easily a Super Bowl contender team. So if he can go out there, if he can score points, like you said, if he puts up 25 or more points in this game, even if we score 30 points, and I've told you this before, the optimist in me comes out, right? Because I'm like, if we're putting up these numbers against the Bills, and looking at the next 4 weeks, I could see us as maybe an underdog in some of those games. I'm not going to say I feel like I'm still going to pick us for some losses, but some games that I could see if our offense really explodes and develops an identity in this week, who's to say that we can't maybe squeak out 2 of the next 4, especially with Miami being away with Tua and not having him anymore potentially.
Unfortunately,
super unfortunate. And then Tom Brady and the Bucs. And I know Tom Brady is a history of tearing apart our defense, and we always lose to him. But the Buccaneers really aren't looking that good this year. You know what I mean?
They're not looking consistent.
No, not at all.
So I completely agree. So it's kind of like, watch this week, see what happens. Maybe we can adjust. Because I think right now, when you think about this team in the next 4 games, you're kind of thinking 0-4. And you're thinking about going into the bye week at 1-7. Which, again, sucks, but it is what it is. That's kind of like what we're going towards this year. However, like Chris just said, if you can sneak out some wins against the Bucs, against the Dolphins potentially, or even against one of these powerhouse teams, right? I think we're going to get destroyed by the Bills. But who's to say that they don't come out there super optimistically, and Kenny is playing out of his mind, right? I'm not going to expect that from Kenny. He's a rookie. This is his first start in Buffalo, which is a very tough place to play. I'm not going to expect the world from him, but what if he does? What's to you? What if he does and he shocks the Bills and they're like, whoa, this wasn't on tape. We can't stop this kid. And it gives the defense enough time to somehow slow down Josh Allen, which seems impossible to. But so what if there's a way? What if there's a way to sneak out a win, right? Then the mentality immediately after 1 week starts changing. And now you can maybe start racking things up. You can maybe start doing some things. And that's where you start talking about how fast can TJ come back to make us even stronger as a team. But as for right now, I'm just going to look for the offense. Can they score points? Can these individual players get better? Can Claypool catch a pass in the slot? Can Deontay not drop a pass? Can Najee find the right holes? Can Jalen Warren get more than 3 touches a game? Can Kenny score 27 points? That's what I'm looking for in this game.
Yes, totally agree. Looking at the game too, it's going to be an interesting one, especially looking at the injury report and everything. I just looked up the Bills injury report, and I didn't know this. They have 16 players. Yeah, it's a long list. Granted, I think 3 of those are like resting players, just for resting purposes. But still, it's a long list, and it sounds like they're going to go without a lot of their defensive backs. So the way I imagine this game going is it's going to be on both sides a good front 7 against a JV high school backfield on both sides. And the thing is,
not to cut you off, Chris, but the thing is like we said too, with I think this if you want to watch Kenny play, this is the game to watch him play, because the Bills are going to score a lot of points. They're going to score them quick. We got to just chuck the ball nonstop. Kenny could throw 45 passes in this game, just because in a professional team's minds, they don't view themselves as like an underdog, even though we as the fans do. So Tomlin's never like the one thing I'll say about Tomlin is never going to roll over and die. He's going to say, "Oh, we can beat the Bills." So they might throw 45 times just to like keep pace with the Bills. You're going to see a lot of throwing in this game. But anyways.
Yeah. Keys of the game?
Yeah. We'll try.
All right. So I got a couple of them. Are you ready? So keys of the game.
I missed that.
Seriously, I did too. So my keys of the game, I have a few of them, but first off is obviously knowing that we're going to be in a position to throw, and we want to make Kenny as successful as possible. it's going to be very challenging, but we have to open up a run game to some extent, because or else like the predictability will keep coming and they're going to know we're going to throw. And it's just going to make it harder and harder for Pickett in his first start. So I don't care what it is. We have to get something going. Najee has to find some holes, and those offensive linemen have to open them up. So we have to get a run game going.
Yeah, and let me talk about that with you. I think I'll just add on to your keys to the game, if you don't mind. That is a great key to the victory, and also shows how hard that's going to be. Because if you want, you're right. If you want a victory, you need to do that. The reason why that's going to be so hard is because the Bills have the number one defense in the NFL, and their front seven is very, very good. The only weakness right now is their secondary being so injured. So if somehow, I don't know how you do it, where somehow you can establish a run game, Chris, and you can extend those drives and keep the Bills the Bills offense off the field, you're right. That's a big key to victory, but that's going to be a very tall task, and I'm not really expecting it. But that is a great key if it even happens at all.
I mean, take a look at last year. I think Najee, and granted it was his first start, but he had 16 carries for 45 yards against the Bills. And
right.
They're a tough team to run against.
And he's been kind of doing that now to other teams. So it is going to be tough. I agree with you, though. That is a key to do that, to sustain longer drives, to keep the Bills off the field, the offense.
Yeah. Yes. Second key of the game, which is, I feel like, always a big for us, but especially since our defensive backs are going to be depleted, we have to apply pressure to Allen to get him to do any kind of offsetting throws. We have to.
Yeah. Also, again, seems like an impossible task. Agreed that is a key to victory, but with our secondary being gone, the middle of the field being exposed consistently, and Highsmith is great, but Hayward's been non-existent with TJ Watt out. TJ Watt still being out. Malik Reed's non-existent. You're looking at a fat chance, in my opinion, to get I don't know if we'll get a sack in this game, because Josh Allen also runs with his legs and he's strong. This dude's like 7'2", 250. I don't know what his exact measurements, but he's a big dude. He's strong. He runs fast for a guy that it's gonna be tough to get to sack him. So you're also correct. That is a key to victory, to getting sacks. Don't know if it's gonna happen this week.
You want to hear my last one?
Yep.
Keeping the defense off the field and time of possession. Again, yes, these are keys to wins. However, I don't care even if not every drive has to end in some kind of score. It does if we want to win this game, because we have to put up about 65 to beat the Bills. But time of possession is going to be huge. Our defense is already depleted. We got to give them the rest that they need, so that way we can, stay on top of it and drive at a high level. Again, that's going to be very, very hard. But at the same time, Kenny proved it last week with his third down conversions. We can move the ball with him in there, and he provides that spark. We just got to keep the ball for at least a couple more minutes every single drive, so that way defense can get adequate rest if we're going to have any chance in this game.
Yep. Okay. Again, agree completely. Chris, those are great keys to the game. If you're listening at home, I think that's exactly what we need. Just the thing is, realistically, can we do it? I'm not so sure. However, just like you, just like Chris, just like you at home, I will be extremely excited if that happens. I'll be super pumped. I'm not gonna, and I'll come back next week and I'll be like, holy smokes, we pulled it off, a miracle. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I called it or that I knew all along, because I don't think they're going to win. But you know what would be a classic Steeler move, Chris, is because in my head I've already said, oh, in this game I'm just gonna go into it watching the offense. And I'm just going to take it easy and relax because I'm expecting a loss. I just want to see how we do, almost like watching a preseason game, kind of like not really caring about the loss, right? I'm going to take it easy. I'm not going to feel so anxious and worried. But it'd be a classic Steeler move to lose this game, but keep it really, really close, so that I have hope that we could win and then be heartbroken by the end.
Yeah. Hey, that's the Steeler way, right? Especially
For
like in
sure.
our game against Chargers last year. We were
Yeah.
like, we're going to get blown out. And then we came back and we were like winning for a stint. And then we're like, stop, what's happening?
Yep, totally.
This is good. Could we win? But the last thing I was going to say about it is a message to some Steeler media and fans out there. Please just refrain from, putting a lot of pressure on Pickett. I'm sure he doesn't see a lot of the stuff, but people obviously, and I get it, are in the mindset of winning. We've never seen a losing season. I don't want to see a losing season, but putting the stress of being like, Pickett better throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, like, yeah, I would love that. That would be like, wow, this kid is insane, and I think he's capable of doing it. However, look at what he's facing. It's literally David and Goliath right now, right? Like,
just for sure.
Let the man work in his capacity. I'm sure he'll be throwing more often than we'd like him to, but at the same time, I mean, heck, anything beats the 170 yards that Trubisky puts up each week. So realistically, even if Pickett threw for 250 or 200, but we had like a successful day and we had good running and a couple touchdowns, I'll be happy with it.
Even if he throws a couple picks too, depending on how they are, I'm not going to be because he's a rookie, like you said. Speaking of the media too, because Najee had a great point where he took some blame last week for the way he runs the ball, and he's looking to get better. And they talked to him about Mitch and the offense and Matt Canada, and he said, we're not worried about that, but you and the media like to make us worried about that, and you ask us questions, you kind of pit us against each other, or it makes it sound like that. But truly, we're not worried about it. And a lot of people in the media took offense to it and thought that Najee was calling them out or blaming the offensive struggles on you. Bro, get off your high horse. Shut up. Okay?
Yeah.
I guess we're technically media too, but for all media, shut up. Okay? It's not about you. Najee was taking complete blame. Stop. You immediately took that and started twisting words. Okay? I know no one's going to listen to this, but like, I could rant on that for a lot longer. I won't. But good God. Just shut up. Please. Okay, so I think we've talked a lot about a lot of good stuff, Chris. Talked about Kenny a bunch, which is obviously we're all very excited. Since we're not really doing predictions anymore, because I imagine we'll get smoked, do you want to kind of just run through the NFL games?
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, but stat prediction: Kenny Pickett 350 yards, 4 tutties. Easy game. Steelers by 50.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8 touchdowns, but yeah, that's fine. We can do 4.
And by 50, I mean 50 yards, but we lose by 60 points.
Okay, let me look up the NFL schedule.
I already know that we are off on a couple of these, so it'll be. I have a feeling.
Yeah, sure. Well, I might have to change. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Tonight, a barn burner, 2 high-powered offenses, Colts and Broncos. What are you going with?
I remember thinking about this game and hearing Colts first and going, well, I'll pick the other team because the Colts are bad. And then I heard the Broncos, and I said, they're worse.
I saw a tweet that said, I can't wait to watch Jonathan Taylor and Javonte Williams to really perk up my week.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I guess that being said, I think I'm going to go Broncos just because they're home.
I am as well. Giants at Packers in London. Shout out to Charlie.
London game.
I don't know if Charlie, if you're going to be at that game or if you're at last week's game with Minnesota. But yeah, in London.
Charlie, I know it probably costs an arm and a leg, but this is your chance, man. Go and see some NFL football.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
Well, last week was good. I don't know about this game, but
that's fair. I think I said the Packers.
I did as well.
Which was kind of a hard pick, but yeah.
I agree. I don't think the Packers are really that good, but their schedule's pretty easy this year. So I think they're going to rack a lot of wins and then probably do the classic Green Bay thing and lose in the playoffs. Because I was looking at their full schedule. Their schedule's not very difficult.
Who do they play, us every week?
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't think they're really that good. Next is Lions at Patriots.
Oh, I remember what I picked for this one. I also didn't realize that the Patriots beat the Packers last week. I thought the Packers pulled out a win.
They did?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Well,
No way.
I think so.
That's not true.
I was looking at the QB. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Pats won.
No, Packers won in OT.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, in OT.
For all you listening, I am a football fan. I do pay attention to football. I was in Florida. I was not paying no attention to the. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Another rookie quarterback in that game, Bailey Zapp. For the Patriots.
Yeah, and he's about to get zapped by the Detroit Lions.
I agree.
I did say Detroit, even though, a fun fact, they are number 1 scoring offense in the NFL and number 32 points per game defense in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah. Which is like what I saw from them in the preseason, too. I remember when I played them, I was like, ooh, their offense looks pretty good. And I was like, ooh, their defense looks really bad. I'm going to pick the Lions as well in this game. I think their offense is going to be better, especially if Amon-Ra comes back. They're going to be tough to stop, I think. Chargers at Browns. That's a tough one.
Chargers, not a tough one. Go Bolts.
Okay. I think I am saying Chargers as well. But man, it was really tough because the Chargers have a lot of injuries. But the Browns, I don't know what to give with the Browns. They lost to the Falcons last week, but like if they just run the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they like win every game they play. But they like stopped running the ball against the Falcons. And Cleveland's becoming a tougher place to play. Myles Garrett's back from his car crash injury. Chargers lost their tackle. I don't know. But I'll say Chargers as well. But mostly because I'm praying for it. I'm praying on the Browns' downfall. So I'll say Chargers as well.
Yeah, and it looks like Keenan Allen has missed another practice, so I don't know if he's going to be coming back. But I don't know, dude. I still realistically, Chubb is their entire team. So
right. I don't know. I feel like the Browns could easily win. Like if the Browns win, I wouldn't be surprised. But I would love a loss. Texans at Jaguars.
Trev Daddy, of course. I gotta go with my boy. He had a rough week last week with 4 fumbles. It's not gonna happen again. The dude put stickum on his hands. It's gonna be good.
They also played the best team, one of the best teams in the league last week.
And they scored quite a bit, right?
They did. They were ahead for a while. I'm going to go with the Jaguars, too. I think they're a better team. I've not picked them in the past. I looked through their schedule, Chris. I think they could be a good team. I think they're a playoff team, potentially, this year.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm going Jaguars as well. Falcons at Buccaneers.
Bucks, even though I hope the Falcons, because I just don't like the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Buccaneers as well. The only I just want to say something real quick. I don't like when the media has been talking about Tom Brady's personal life because that's not football. We're not going to talk about that. That's really sad, whatever he's going through. But someone had mentioned to me, like, oh, what if he like quits playing because of what's going on in his life? And I go, one of two things are going to happen in Tom Brady's age. He's either going to quit playing or play bad because of what's going on in his life is so hard to deal with, or he's going to turn on like the Kobe Bryant mindset and just go off and win an 8th ring. I don't know.
This isn't a joking matter, obviously. Divorce is really tough, but at the same time, do you think he's going to quit because of a divorce? He quit being a dad because he missed football for 40 days. So, I mean, like...
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough thing. Like, that's the only jokes we'll make. That's the only tough thing about it. It's really sad. I don't wish a divorce on anybody, obviously. But I really do think he could go either way. He could either it could distract him from playing, or he could win his 8th ring and throw like 50 touchdowns. I don't know.
Just out of pure anger.
Yeah. Steelers at Bills.
Bills.
Yeah, Bills. Dolphins at Jets.
I still think Dolphins can pull it off.
This was really hard for me to choose. I think I said Dolphins too. I said Jets and I switched it, but I think I'm saying Dolphins as well. It's really hard to choose on that one. Bears at Vikings.
The Vikings.
Yeah.
Bears are garbage.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Vikings. Titans and Commanders, 2 teams that piss me off.
Titans.
I think I'm doing that as well. The Titans, I don't know who they are. They make me mad. Commanders make me mad. Either team could win, makes me mad. Seahawks at Saints.
I said the Seahawks. Geno Smith is playing out of his mind.
I think I did too. I think I said Seahawks too, because he is playing really, really well. And the Saints, also a team that pissed me off, because I don't know how to view them either. 49ers at Panthers.
49ers.
49ers. Also, I told you they beat the Rams. They got the Rams number, man.
Yeah. I don't know, whatever.
Eagles at Cardinals.
So this one is actually really tough for me. Even though I think the safe answer is going Eagles, I really, really wanted to pick Arizona because I feel like
me too.
Eagles are really, really.
Upset.
It is a great upset. Eagles are a great team. They're really scary. They're high scoring and powerful. However, they're not going to stay undefeated for super long, right? I definitely don't think they'll get to the double digits at least of wins.
Well, okay,
before.
So before you to answer, and this is why so we do an NFL pool with our parents as well, for the people listening at home, and I said Eagles for my mom for our mom, so for the safe answer, but I went and checked out their whole schedule, Chris, and I was predicting their wins, and they don't really have a hard schedule, and I got to like 12-0 before I gave them a loss, and I gave them an upset loss to the Giants. So that almost makes me feel like I want to say Cardinals here, so I could give them a loss somewhere because I just kept picking them and I was like, well, when are they going to lose a game? And I think this is a good upset game for them potentially.
It is that gut feeling that the Cardinals are going to win it. However, I'm going to stick with my original pick and I'm going to stay with the Eagles.
Okay, I'm going to say Cardinals because in my prediction I've had them going like 12-0. And I think that's hard to do. I just think this could be where the losses.
It's gotta be, yeah.
Cowboys at Rams.
This was also a tough one, but I feel like I don't know because I believe Dak is coming back.
Not this week.
Not this week. It's still Cooper Rush.
I think so.
Oh, then I'm sticking with my answer. Go Cowboys.
Wow.
For whatever reason, I feel less. Like Cooper Rush is 4-0 right now since he like in his starts and whatever, and I don't know, he's pulling it off, and the Rams are looking not good, and Stafford only throws to Kupp and Higbee, so unless he can open that up, I don't see the Rams being nearly as successful this year as they were last year.
Well, I agree with that. I don't think they're going to be as successful. I am not a Cooper Rush believer yet. But I probably will be if they win this game. I'm going to go Rams for now.
So you're a Cooper Kupp believer.
Always. The best part of waking up is throwing the Cooper Cup. Bengals at Ravens. That's a good game. Sunday night game. I might actually watch that game.
So it is a good game. I do think I said the Ravens because they're home.
I did too. I said the Ravens as well. Raiders at Chiefs for Monday night.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Okay. That's going to do it for this week. We'll be back next week to talk about, regardless of the outcome, I expect us to actually be excited. I don't think we're going to be too sad, but regardless, we'll be back next week to give an analysis on this game and preview next week's game. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and give me another one, Chris. I always give one all the time.
Club Penguin.
Yep, there you go. And Club Penguin. I am your host, Dominic. As always, with me is my brother, Chris. And we will see you guys next week. Chris, do you have any final words?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay, yeah, a lot more.
Go Steelers.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Change it up. We'll see you guys next week. Deuces.